I think the bottleneck right now is purely environment for now. Um, but there's obviously a lot of barriers to integrate, fully robots the way they should be. One, it's the integration cost. So think about it. We have to take legacy systems, right, and kind of try to integrate robot within a system that is, designed for human. Reliability, I mean, you see, that is extremely important, so not only on the upside, but on the downside too. So I'll give you an example that is probably a household example for all of us. We think about somebody who invests your money, generates 20% a year, and then 1 year they lose 99%. They wipe up everything. That's exactly what we're afraid of. So robot could be reliable, but we're not worried about their reliability when they're there, but we're worried about the edge cases. If something goes wrong, think about a Waymo, kills somebody, or like it kidnaps somebody, or locks the door, or somebody gets suffocated. And these are the things that, in a litigious society ought to be addressed. So the reliability requirements, we want to make sure that, they're 100% reliable, or at least 99.9%. So that's actually delaying the deployment. As I mentioned, edge cases of, makes lawyers, chase ambulances. Obviously, liability and regulations, we still lack a regulatory framework around, coexistence between robots and humans. So who's responsible if something goes wrong by a robot, right? In front of, in the court of law. And human trust, quite frankly, it takes us a while to trust. That's why we like humanoid, by the way, because we think they look like us, even though they're the least reliable or the least adaptable to what we think they can do. They can't cook a meal. Forget about it, right? I mean, it's cute because there's one thing to deployment in a lab. There's nothing to deployment in various environments, right? So don't believe what you see on TV, right? So they're not showing you robots in an uncontrolled environment. They controlled it and they show you that he can cook or whatnot. You change the kitchen and he cannot do anything, at least for now. So human trust, we trust cars, we trust airplanes, even though, it's scary to think about flying, 30,000 feet, but they've been around for a while and, with limited edge cases. So I think it's going to take a while for us to trust robot too. I think it starts with probably like the likes of Waymo, self-driving cars. Once we get comfortable with that, we go to the next level. Think about this, 20 years ago, you didn't want to enter your credit card and, to shop online because of fraud and what have you. Now you don't even think about it, right? You just enter it because, there's system that were built around it, such as SSL. So once we have the right, framework around it, I think deployment will go as well. So traditional financing for these technologies usually are reserved for, we call the futurist capitalists, venture capital, maybe corporations, right? So it requires patient capital because there's a sort of, we call the J curve. So if you start the integration costs, the coordination will cost more than a robot and it will take a long time. So the first couple of years, you're losing money if you are introducing a robot in a system that has been designed for labor or task undertaken by labor. So that's one. So there's a mismatch between the demand and the supply of capital. So you need to kind of match the duration. A robot integration project works well if you have patient capital. Amazon, they publicly funded traded companies, patient capital. They don't have like the typical VC 7 years and you harvest the first 5 and try to sell the next. So permanent capital, that works very well. And I'm kind of worried about it too, because obviously if we're going to take risk capital and only allow, big companies who have big balance sheets such as Google and Amazon and, Facebook or Meta, right, to be like the steward of this, or Tesla now, right? Then I think we're gonna have a monopoly, and more on that later on, because they're gonna own the asset. If they're gonna own the asset, that's it. I mean, with labor shrinkage, then we're gonna go into a feudal society, not of the 17 or the Middle Ages, but similar to it. So we still would like to create a new breed of capital that is patient, and hence the need perhaps for a permanent capital vehicle for that. Because I think that the project of deployment, certainly more than 10 years, if you really want them to succeed. The first 2, you can't even look at an ROI, because you're still working other angles as well. So that's the major impediment, I think, of deployment. Main players, think about Tesla, Figure AI, Boston Dynamics. I mean, these are, a few that, come to mind that may emerge as, they have staying power, and they've been doing it for a while. I mean, in the case of Tesla, they're actually not, they're new and not new. I mean, they have industrial capability, part of Tesla, so I think they would figure it out, and they have patient capital, and the market, the capital market loves Elon Musk. So I think they'll be patient with him the way they've been patient with him in Tesla, because he's a proven entity. Now, why we will be leading in certain aspect of robotics, such as humanoid, because to be honest with you, even humanoid, I think they're going to be the least deployed, but we love them here in the US because they're consumer centric, and we are a consumer driven society. Let's put it this way: 70 plus of our economy is driven by consumers. Probably everybody would want to have a pet of a sort, called whatever we want to name them to, for relatability. So from an industrial base, look, warehouses, we're still out there, but pure industrial, obviously that's, ship has sailed. Probably China will probably lead that, but from anything that is gadgety, direct to consumer, a play of a sort, I think we're going to lead the way. We have a consumer society, we have access to credit, we have a well-functioning economy, and we're early adopters. So that's why we think humanoid is not my most favorite in terms of deployment, but if it's gonna catch on fire, it's gonna catch on fire here.